Hi there folks, welcome to Dunsy's Guitar Stuff and welcome to my 100th upload. Can't believe it's 100 videos I've put up here. So thank you to everyone who subscribes, thank you to everyone who watches these videos and comments, interacts, it's really appreciated. Thanks very much. So for the 100th one, I thought I would do a lesson on one of my favourite songs of all time, Taxman, Mr. Thief by Cheap Trick, which I did a playthrough yesterday. I'll post a link to that video. I love the Beatles, I love Cheap Trick, and that's as Beatlesy as Cheap Trick get. It's just such a fantastic tune. In standard tuning as well, which is always great. So I'll do this on my Goldtop, which looks pretty good on camera. So the song starts with an open D, 4th string open, played 3 times, and then you hit the 7th fret of the G string. And then you hit the 5th fret of the G string back to the 7th. And you're pedalling on the D string. Now the next notes you hit will be an F chord. These 2 notes have an F chord, but instead of playing it down here on the 1st fret, you're playing the 5th fret of the G string and the 6th fret of the B string. So it's just those 2 notes you're playing of the chord. Now after he plays that chord the first time, he'll slide up 2 frets to the G. It's just the 7th fret of the G string and the 8th fret of the B string, and then back down. So that whole part goes. So he just slides up, hits the notes once and slides back down. And then plays the first part again. This time he stays on the 5th fret of the G string and the 6th fret of the B string, but he moves backwards and forwards 1 fret. So again, you're just hitting the first chord and then sliding your fingers. So the whole of the intro goes like this. And then it goes back down to that F chord. Now the bass comes in on that note, and it sounds fantastic because the bass actually comes in on an A sharp. Fantastic stuff. I think Robin comes in on maybe an A sharp there as well. So the verse continues playing that riff in D. Now on the playthrough I just went to that F chord. Sometimes if you watch the band live, Rick will slide up to the other chord. Sometimes he'll play a solo, sometimes he plays his whammy bar. It's just whatever takes your fancy, I think. So that plays all the way through the verse. So it plays that whole thing 4 times through. And then going into the bridge, it's a G minor chord. Now I play it like this. I play the 5th fret of the A and D strings, and then I bar my first finger across the 3rd fret of the G, B and E string. That's the chord that Robin plays, and Rick plays that one as well. I think Robin plays it on a 12th string, which sounds a lot bigger. Now the chord after that, if you watch Robin playing it live, he's playing a C chord. Rick sticks up here on the 5th fret. Now what I've done is I've played those sort of 2 parts together. Now again, like all my lessons, I'm not saying this is the authoritative version of this tune and this is exactly how you play it. What I'm saying is this is how I play it, and I play in a 70s rock covers band, and we do all these songs, and you know, playing it like this gets us through it, and I don't hear people complaining at the end of it. But that said, it's perhaps not 100% correct, so feel free to tell me where I'm going wrong, and I'll try and correct it. So anyway, what I do is I play this C chord, but I put a G on the top, the 3rd fret of the top E string, and then it goes back to the D again. So I play the first end of the verse and then into that first part of the bridge. And then the second part of the bridge starts the same, it plays the G minor. Now again it goes to the C chord, but this time what I'm doing is after I play the G minor, I just slide up the D string from the 5th fret to the 7th fret and then bar across the 5th fret on the G, B and E string. Now I'm guessing that's some kind of A minor. So play the whole of the bridge. Now the chorus is an E minor chord, although I don't think it's a full E minor. I just play the open E string and the 2nd fret of the A string, that B note, and just play across those strings. And that goes to a D chord. Now when I'm playing the D, I just play the open D string, keep my first finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, my 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, play the D like this. And that allows me for the next chord to move my 2nd finger across and change the root note to a C, which is the 3rd fret of the A string, and then down to the 2nd fret of the A string. And when you're moving the root note, I still keep hitting the 3rd fret of the B string. So I'll play that first part of the chorus. Do that again. And then the next chord is a G, but he does a run up on the bottom E string, open E, 2nd fret, 3rd fret into the G chord. So it comes from that B to a D again, and then to the E minor, although this time I'm keeping my 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. So I'll play the whole of the chorus. Back into the D riff again. And then into the middle 8, which is quite tricky, sounds tricky on the record, on the studio version. The first chord here is an F minor. Now I'm playing this F chord with the 3rd fret of the A string, the 3rd fret of the D string, and then barring across the 1st fret of the G, B and E strings. Now what he's doing is he plays the root notes and then catches the top 2 strings on the 1st fret. And then he catches the 3rd fret of the G and B strings, bends it up a couple of times. And then catches the first fret of the G string down to the third fret of the D string. So I'll play that part. So going into the next part of the bridge, Robin's playing an E minor chord, and Rick goes up to the 7th fret of the D string and the 8th fret of the B string, plays those two, moves down 1 fret and then down 2 frets. And then the next part he plays is he bends the G string at the 2nd fret, the A, and does that run down, so it's a bend up on the G to the open G. And then the 2nd fret of the D string, pull off to an open, 2nd fret of the A string, pull off to open, and then the G, 3rd fret of the bottom E to an E open. So I'll play that whole thing. Now Robin sticks on an E minor after that again. Now, if you watch Rick playing this, he'll play any manner of a million ways, all of which are fantastic. But the way I get through it is, when Robin's hitting the next E, I'll just play the 12th fret of the G and B strings and just bend that a few times with a bit of rhythm. So I'll play that whole part. Now, the next part of the bridge, there's quite a lot in this bridge, is a D. Now you play the D, and then it's a D string open, hammer on to the 2nd fret of the D string, onto the 3rd fret, back to the 2nd fret, and then a pull off to the open D. And then you catch the 3rd fret of the A string, play that C chord, and then down to the 2nd fret of the A string, and down to the 3rd fret of the E string to catch the G. So I'll play that whole thing. So it just plays that once. The second time it plays the same thing again, except this time it stops on the B. You don't go and play the last G note. There's quite a definite stop there. So I'll play the whole of that bridge part. So for the last part of the bridge, the root notes are A sharp, and then an A. Now I've seen various tabs of this. One of them, I'm not entirely sure of the chord name, but it seems to be the 1st fret of the A string, so you're getting the A sharp note, the 2nd fret of the D string, so you're getting an E, and then open G and the 3rd fret of the B string, so you're getting that D, so it sounds like this. And then that goes down. You keep the same first two notes, but you move the 3rd fret of the B string down to the 2nd fret with your 2nd finger. So I'm guessing they're saying it sounds like this. But to be honest, anytime I play this, if you're playing through a loud guitar amp, I mean I'm using a Marshall or something like that, the notes you're really hearing are the 1st fret of the A and the 3rd fret of the B string. hearing the 2nd fret of the B string. So I mean, I think you can get away with just playing the 1st fret of the A and then the 3rd fret of the D string, so you're playing that A sharp, but then catching the 3rd fret of the B string and then moving it down 1 note to the 2nd. I think you can get away with that. I've never heard anyone complaining when I've played it like that. Although if you want to be playing this on an acoustic guitar at a party, where people might catch what you're doing, you probably want to learn the exact chord. But I'll continue with just playing that one. So anyway, the next chord, as I say, the root note moves down to an A. Now the way I'm playing this, again, it's significant notes on the 3rd fret of the B string and the 2nd fret of the B string. So I'm playing the open A, 2nd fret of the D string, I'm playing the G open, and the first time I'm playing the 3rd fret of the B string, and then the second time I'm keeping the same first 3 notes, moving the 3rd fret of the B down to the 2nd fret. So that 2nd chord goes like this. So that's how I play that part in the bridge. You may play it different, you likely play it better, but as I say, that's how I get through it. So after it goes from that, it goes back to the D riff again. And that's about the whole thing. At the very end of the tune, he plays the D riff, and then for 1 bar it goes to a G chord, and then 1 bar it goes to an F chord, just power chords down here on the 3rd and 1st frets. And then the band stop and Rick just plays the D riff again. So that's all the parts of the tune. As I say, thank you very much for watching these videos. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for interacting, participating and commenting. 100 videos. Here's to the next 100. Cheers for now.